Hey guys, so today's review actually marks a milestone for me in the fact that it's been officially a year I've been doing these reviews. Yay! I can't believe I've been doing these reviews for a year now. It was a year ago today that I did my first review of Rock of Ages, and it's kind of crazy to think that I've been doing and now doing them more reviews a year later. I originally started doing these reviews uh, by only posting them via Facebook and only let my friends or watch them, and then I did that from June of last year to January of this year. And it wasn't until Facebook decided to, for some reason, not let me post any more videos that I decided to call it quits for a while. And while I was calling it quits for a while, a lot of people asked me, well, why are you not doing any more movie reviews? And I told them why. And they were like, oh, you should still try to do them. You should still try to do them. And I said, okay. And I eventually in March decided, all right, I'm going to do them again. But this time I'm going to post them on YouTube. And like they say, the rest is history. The rest is history. And it's been an interesting experience for the last year. I don't see signs of stopping anytime soon, unless I get a bigger job in the next few months. And if that happens, I'll probably have to not do my reviews as much, or not see as many movies as I have in the past year. Um, but who knows? You know, until then, I'll be doing these every week. Uh, we'll see what happens, next few months. But thank you for anybody who's been watching these videos from, even if you've been watching from the beginning or just been watching them from when I started doing them on YouTube. I appreciate everybody watching these videos. Anybody who gives me feedback, uh, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy these videos, whether they are for the hilarity of them, or just the uh, just if, so, as long as you get some kind of entertainment out of them, I guess I would say. Um, anyways, I guess it would only make sense for me to do a review for one of the biggest movies of the year this year, in Man of Steel, for my 1 year anniversary review. Um, and that and I guess it also would make sense for me to also have a story to go along with my review about my movie going experience. So I get to the movie theater about noon to go see Superman 3D, Man of Steel 3D. Sorry, Man of Steel 3D, and I get there and I get these 3D glasses that are blue and they have the Superman logo on the side of them and they say Man of Steel. And I was like, ah, sweet, cool. I got these collector's edition 3D glasses. I thought that's kind of cool. Even though I'm probably going to throw them away in a couple of days, anyways, but oh well. I thought they were kind of cool. You get them every so often for a special movie, but that's about it. I got them for G.I. Joe last year, or earlier this year, but that's about it. I can't. I think there was ones for the Hobbit and the Croods, but I didn't get any. Screw, because apparently they wouldn't give them out for some reason, to me at least. Um, but yeah, I get there. The movie starts. I'm in. It's 40 minutes into the movie, where Lois Lane basically gets. It's the scene where Lois Lane goes to the military base in Alaska, where the military has found something in the ice, which basically ends up being the Fortress of Solitude, or what they call in the movie the Genesis Chamber, and the military is basically explaining to Lois Lane what they've found, and while that scene happens, the screen, the whole, all the power in the movie theater goes completely out, and because of that, the screen goes black, and I'm just sitting there going, what the hell just happened? Um, and I was like, oh no, this is not another Croods. Where the Croods, if you don't remember what happened, was that when I went to try to see a Croods the first time, was that I got for the previews and everything, and for some reason the 3D projector would not accept the movie, and because of that, they had to give us refunds, 3D refunds, and I ended up going to see Olympus Has Fallen, and didn't get to see the movie until a couple days later. It's like, oh god, please don't let that happen, because I'm already 40 minutes into this movie, and it's really making me annoyed. And luckily, took about 10 minutes, and the movie started back up, thankfully, and the power went back on. Apparently, there was a power outage. I don't know how there was a power outage. It's been sunny and nice out all day, not like the last couple of days where it's been stormy and all stuff like that. Um, so, yeah, like I said, that was kind of a crazy thing to happen. And when the movie started back up, it went forward a couple minutes later than it did when it or and so later than it did, and so because of that, it started at a scene that wasn't the scene that it was at, or if that makes any sense. It wasn't at the scene that it was at when it stopped, and so I missed maybe a minute or so of the movie, and thankfully, yeah, it was nothing really important apparently going on in that minute or so, and luckily didn't miss much, and I wasn't confused, and I got to watch the rest of the movie. So thankfully, watched the rest of the movie without no problems. So now that I've seen the movie, what do I think of it? I thought it was a pretty good movie. I thought it was a really, actually, I thought it was a really good movie. I was entertained. I was not bored one bit while watching this movie. I had a blast watching this movie. I did not regret seeing this movie. And it's kind of interesting in the fact that because I was kind of worried about this movie going in, because if you see my reviews the last couple months, I talked briefly about the movie and the fact that I just didn't, I didn't care for the trailers that much. I thought the trailers were just okay, and because of that, I was kind of worried, and I was worried this movie might suck. But I still kept out hope, and I went in with an open mind, even though also the reviews for this movie weren't very good either. They were just in the middle. And like I said, I was entertained by this movie. I don't get why the critics really hate this movie. I mean, this movie is not without faults, but it's a really good movie. When it does things right, it does things right. And one of the things I thought it did right was casting. I thought a lot of the casting in this movie was perfect. Henry Cavill as Superman is very, very good. This is the first time I've seen this guy in any movie, and I thought he was very, very, very good. I thought he played it very. I thought he was very good. Like I said, very good in this. Repeat myself there. I don't know if he's as good as Christopher Reeves. I don't think he's as good as Christopher Reeves, but I thought he carried this role on his own very well. I mean, it's hard. It's you know, uh, it's unfair to compare him to Christopher Reeves because everybody's always going to love Christopher Reeves. I thought he did a good enough job. He looked the part. He was built like he looked like a big. He was a big dude, and he looked like a guy who could play Superman. He was muscular. He was well built and everything else, and he had the look for it. And I thought he acted very good. I thought Amy Adams as Lois Lane was very good. That was one of my favorite casting choices when I first heard about the cast in this movie. Was Amy Adams. I just love Amy Adams. She's adorable as hell, and she does this really well. Does a really good job in this movie. I thought she toned down this Lois Lane toned down damsel in distress a lot in this movie, which I was thankful for. She has her moments of damsel in distress, but at the same time, she is not just completely a damsel in distress and that's it. She does serve a purpose, and I thought Amy Adams was very good in this. I One of the best casting in this movie, best casting choices, actually the best casting choice in this movie was Michael Shannon as General Zod. Holy shit, was this guy good? I mean, this guy can play a villain no matter what. He is a he he can play. I mean, this guy's always, I think, was born to play a villain because he's that good at it. Um, he just carries this movie with his presence. He has that look, and he's frightening. He's very good. Um, he makes the role his own. I really kind of sad that we won't see any more of him in these any future sequels, and that's I hope that might be spoiling it for some people, but oh well. But yeah, we won't be seeing any more of him in any future sequels, which kind of sucks. I also like that they didn't have Lex Luthor in this movie, um, because at least they changed. I like that they changed it up and not had Lex Luthor. There is a reference to Lex Luthor, I believe. If it's a it's a blink and you'll miss it moment where there's like a gas tank that it goes by that says LexiCorp. I noticed it briefly and I was like, really? How the hell did I notice that? I believe LexiCorp is the company that Lex Luthor owns, right? I believe. I'm 100% sure. I'm not 99% sure. I might be wrong. So I'm not 100% on the comic books. I'm not a comic book nerd. So maybe I'm wrong. But I just thought, well, that makes sense. But so Lex Luthor does exist in this universe. So that's kind of interesting. And there's also references to Lana, that one girl they went to high school with and all stuff like that. Went to school with is in this. But she's just there by name, basically. I thought she did very. I thought, like I said, I thought Michael Shannon was really good. I thought Russell Crowe was really, really good as Jor-El or what the hell, I don't remember. Superman's Krypton dad. All right, that's basically all I'm gonna say. He does really well, even though his job and Kevin Costner's job are basically the same in the fact that they just spout exposition. I thought he was better. Then that was mainly because I thought Kevin Costner's role was a lot more pointless in this movie, and I thought Russell Crowe's Russell Crowe served a purpose in this movie. And I thought he did very well replacing a role made famous by Marlon Brando, and he held it his own. I like Russell Crowe, anyways. Now let's get into what's the. I forgot before I get into the negatives. One of the other things I really liked about this movie was the fact that they do things a lot differently, and some things differently in the origin story of Superman. They do keep pretty much all a lot of the basics the same, like Krypton blowing up. I know there was a worry that Krypton wasn't going to blow up or anything like that, but that does happen. But there was, like, I like the fact that this movie basically it goes from Krypton explodes to them sending Kal-El off to Earth, and he lands in Earth. And when he lands in Earth, and then it cuts to him being a fisherman. And I like that. Basically, it kind of skips ahead to his skips his childhood and goes to when he's a grown up, 30 years later, and he basically. I like the fact that he doesn't really try to blend in with other humans and basically is an outcast throughout most of this movie because he's trying to keep his identity secret because he doesn't want people to find out who he really is because it might, like his dad says, Kevin Costner says, it'll freak him out, freak people out because let's face it, if humans found out there was a Superman among us, they probably would freak out. I think that is kind of believable to think that humans would do that. Um, I liked, yeah, I like the fact that he basically lives in the shadows. He doesn't try to be. He isn't just right away a reporter for Daily Bugle. He lives. He spends most of the movie being like an outcast and living in the shadows, and basically changing his name everywhere he goes, and so that nobody can keep track of who he is and everything else. Only person that finds out who he is really is Lois Lane, and that actually is kind of cool. That was something different. At least this time in this movie, Lois Lane knows that Clark Kent is Superman. There's no doubt by the end of the movie she knows who he is, and that might piss some people off. But you know what? I don't care. I thought that was fine. That makes her character at least less stupid than a lot of the other characters, and the fact they can't figure out that Clark Kent is Superman, even though can't figure that out, even though Clark Kent looks exactly like Superman, but with glasses. I don't understand how people are so stupid in those comic books that can't figure out put two and two together. That's one of the stupidest things about Superman I will never understand. But and they do kind of ruin it. They in the fact that in the end he does try to become human and does basically get a job at the Daily Bugle. I thought they were going to avoid having him get a job at the Daily Bugle, but they do, and I was like, God damn it, they could have done without that. It would have been fine, but I guess people would have been pissed if he didn't get a job at the Daily Bugle or whatever. Whatever, I don't care. I thought it would have worked if he would have just kept doing what he was doing, and that would have been fine. But it made more sense because the humans do kind of become more accepting of him become more accepting of Superman and everything. Now let's get into the negatives. One of the big negatives was that this movie could have been a lot shorter. It could have been 40 minutes of this movie could have been cut, and it would have been fine. There was parts of this movie where I went, yeah, like there were parts where I thought this movie could end right now at that point, and it would have been absolutely fine. It would have been a perfect ending. They could have had Zod as the villain more. If they would have ended it at certain parts, I thought they could have set up sequels and have Zod as the villain in other sequels and everything else, but they didn't go that route. They had to carry the movie on a little bit longer. One of the things that absolutely, I can tell you right off the bat, that could have been cut out were the flashbacks. They could have cut out, they could have just left it to one or two flashbacks and that was it, and that would have been fine. But they kept going on with these flashbacks. Like I said earlier, they basically, even though they flash forward through his childhood and show him when he's adult at the beginning of the movie, Kal-El, Clark Kent, or whatever you want to call him, has flashbacks throughout the movie when he's older to his childhood. And basically every flashback basically has the same thing happen. And that is Superman, Clark Kent basically uses his powers and is scolded by his dad, who's played by Kevin Costner, and that's it. Literally, that's it. And they're pointless. You could done that. Kevin Costner basically spouts the same lines over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and it's like that was that's why I kind of found Kevin Costner's character pointless, because he dies anyways in the flashbacks. If that's a spoiler alert, that's from the comic books anyway. So he dies, and he basically dies because he makes Clark Kent not use his powers to save him. That was stupid. I was like, you're stupid, dude. Your son could save you easily and you wouldn't die. You didn't have to die. Why? I mean, I thought that was kind of stupid. It didn't have his son save him. I thought that was kind of stupid. Easily save him from dying. Easily. But yeah, there was no point to those flashbacks. They're all the exact same freaking thing. That was one of my things. It was like, they could have cut those out. I was like, what could they cut out? And I was like, that's the number one. You could cut 20 minutes, maybe 10, 20 minutes out of that movie, and it would have been fun. I also would have cut out some of the in battle because it feels like it drags on with General Zod and his army and Superman, and it was like, just get to the point. At one point, it was just like, get to the point. Is it just, it's going to end up with Zod and Superman? Just get to it already. What Superman does to Zod at the end of the movie is badass. I love that. I was like, that was hardcore, man. That's pretty hardcore. I didn't expect that. I like the Superman. He's a little bit of a badass. Also, because this movie takes itself, it is a very serious movie. It takes itself way too serious sometimes, and because of that, there's lines of dialogue that are a little bit funny, and they're a little bit laughable. And there was a couple times where I wasn't the only one kind of chuckling at some of the lines of dialogue in the theater, so that's sometimes a bad, but at the same time, that was laughably, entertainingly bad. That's fine. But overall, but it wasn't like the majority of the movie wasn't like laughably bad, so that's not a bad thing. What else? I know this is a minor complaint. This is a really minor complaint, but I missed the John Williams score. I was like, it's like they tried. Hans Zimmer plays that moody. Hans Zimmer did the score for the Dark Knight movies and Inception. And of course, he's got these really moody score, and he just missed the score from John Williams, the original Superman score. I really wanted that. I was like, I had the Superman theme song stuck in my head all week, and I'm like, gotta remember, dude, that's not gonna be in this movie. Like, oh yeah, you're right. God damn it. It's like, god damn it. I really missed that. I missed that theme though. That theme was great. Yeah, it's not as memorable. It's not even close to being as memorable. The theme for maybe I'll remember it more. I barely remember it now, but maybe I'll remember it more if more movies go on. I hope these movies get more sequels. I hope this does very well and it gets more sequels. It gets well received. Not like Superman Returns, where it does do very well, but people hate it enough that they don't do sequels. I hope this gets sequels. I like this a lot better than Superman Returns. I thought this was a pretty solid action. Like, I was kind of sad that they didn't at least try to set up another sequel, like because there's no post-credit scene. I was kind of disappointed they didn't do a post-credit scene, but also at the same time, if they did that, it would be copying Marvel. If everybody would bitch that they would be copying Marvel. But at the same time, you could try to set up a sequel, maybe of Lex Luthor popping in at the end as a surprise, or set up Justice League, somehow set up Justice League like the Iron Man movies Iron Man did, the first Iron Man did. But I don't know. I don't know. Well, I don't see it happening. No. Hopefully, I would love to see a Justice League movie, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. I think the only reason the Warner Bros. Wants that to happen is basically because of how Avengers have done. I don't know what else to talk about. I think that's about it. I think they're forget some other minor complaint. I guess most of his complaints are minor. Other than it's a little bit long. A lot of those I can overlook. I mean, I try to give negatives. There's always going to be a negative to that movie. the people that bitch probably I have people that bitch that I find too many negatives in the movie. There's no way you cannot find a negative in a movie, but this is a movie that I enjoyed enough that I didn't care about the negatives. So you know what, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I highly recommend it. If you're a Superman fan, you're like, I'm sure there's gonna be parts of it that are gonna piss off, like the fact that they don't call Fortress of Solitude but the Genesis Chamber, unless that was what it was in the comic books. I highly doubt that, but that was, maybe that wasn't the Fortress of Solitude. I swear to God that was the Fortress of Solitude. I swear on my life that was the Fortress of Solitude, but for some reason they were calling it the Genesis Chamber, and that just call it the Fortress of Solitude. Wow. Maybe I don't know if I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am wrong, let me know. I don't know. I'm not a Superman fan big enough Superman fan. I don't know the difference. Yeah, so I recommend it. I'm sure there's gonna be stuff that people bitch about. They're comic book fans, because comic book fans are never happy. Spider-Man or Iron Man 3 is a good example. I was right on that. People were pissed about Mandarin. I was right on that. I don't think there's that much for people to be pissed about in this one, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe the Lois Lane finding out knowing he's Clark Kent's Superman might piss people off. I don't know. Yeah, I liked this movie. Enjoyed it. Go see it. I'll be back next week with Monsters University. Yay! I'm looking forward to that. Next week, our prequel to Monsters Inc. I'll be back then next week with that. And thank you guys again for watching these videos for a year if you have been watching them. Or been watching them since I did YouTube. Hopefully I'll be doing these for another year. And I will talk to you guys later.